really blurry. It is time for my summer TBR. Milo is feeling really needy, so he's gonna join us for a portion of today's video. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Hi, my name is Liz and today we're gonna be talking about my summer TBR. I am so excited. These are my favorite videos to film because I get to just talk about a bunch of brand new books. Going into a new season feels like a fresh start. Summer is just a very fun and light, romance-filled season. That's personally when I read a lot of my romances, and in today's video we're gonna see how many times I say the word summer. A lot of the books that I have on my TBR this year have summer in their titles, so clearly that's the only season I can read them. I'm just really excited to start a brand new season and feel all the fun summery vibes, right Milo? Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's video. For my last seasonal TBR, so for my spring TBR, I did a very small TBR, mainly because I felt like I needed to catch up on a lot of series. Also, there were a lot of new releases that were coming out in spring, so naturally I did not need that many books on my TBR. However, summer's gonna be a lot different. That's gonna lead us into our first book that we're gonna talk about. The first book on my summer TBR is This Summer Will Be Different by Carley Fortune. I have read 2 other books by Carley Fortune. This is, I think, her third in this series, or it might just be her third book overall. And I have a lot of mixed feelings about her books. I really loved her first one, and then the second one was just okay. But I have heard really good things about this book. A lot of people who've read it have really enjoyed it, and I know she just came out with another book. We'll see if I get to that one this summer. This story follows Lucy, who is a tourist, and every summer she goes to this island. Her first time on this island, she meets a local and she has this great time with him, and they end up having a one-night stand. Well, fast forward a little bit and she discovers that this guy, his name is Felix, is her best friend's younger brother, which, as you can imagine, is a little bit awkward. So every summer after that, they are trying, or at least she is trying, to resist their insane chemistry that they have and kind of trying to avoid him a little bit. But this summer, in present day, her best friend is getting married, and the week before she gets married, she runs off and ends up going to this island. So Lucy follows her in order to see what's going on, and when she gets there, she runs into Felix. That's really all I know about this book, but I know that a lot of people have really enjoyed the relationship that unfolds in this story, so I'm really looking forward to giving another one of her books a shot. The next book on my TBR is Reckless, which is the 4th book in Elsie Silver's Chestnut Springs series. All of her books are cowboy romances, and this story follows Winter and Theo. Winter is actually Summer, who is actually the very first main character in this series. It's her older sister. Winter is trying to escape her very toxic marriage, and so she ends up going to Chestnut Springs, and when she's there, she runs into Theo, who is this new and upcoming hotshot of a bull rider. They end up just having a very rocky start. You actually get a glimpse of both of them and how they kind of meet in Powerless, the 3rd book, but I remember when I got a glimpse of them, I was really excited to read their story because they're just very intriguing. Winter has a really interesting backstory, and I'm really excited to see what Theo's backstory looks like. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Summers Between Us by Noreen Nanja. I've not read anything by this author. I haven't heard a lot about this book either. I know this is a relatively new title that just came out, but I know that this follows 2 childhood sweethearts. It's 10 years later and they're reconnecting at this summer cottage, and I guess trying to go over what went wrong in their relationship. So I'm excited about this one. It sounds very similar to Love and Other Words and Every Summer After. There's a lot of titles that kind of have this same vibe where it's second chance romance, childhood, lovers to enemies, back to lovers, that kind of thing. And the next book I'm gonna be reading is Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I have read everything by Ali Hazelwood and I will not stop now. This is her newest release that just came out this month, and this story is actually following Maya, who is the younger sister of the male main character in Not in Love. It follows her with the brother's best friend. You get a little glimpse of them in Not in Love, and you can tell that Maya has always had a crush on Connor, which is the other guy in this book. It is a pretty large age gap, which is something I usually don't read, but I have to read this because Ali Hazelwood wrote it. We'll see if I like it. But her brother is getting married, and so it brings them both together. They're both staying at this villa leading up to the wedding, so it's kind of forced proximity, trying to fight the feelings and attraction that they have for each other. The next book I'm going to be reading is Summer in the City by Alex Astor. This is the author of Lightlark, that whole series that's going on. I've read Lightlark. I haven't read the rest of the series, but I'm planning on it at some point. I really, really love her writing style, and I've heard great things about this one. This is her first romance book that she wrote. I know that this story takes place in New York City, and it is a fake dating relationship between a screenwriter and a tech billionaire. So what brings them together is she is trying to get over her writer's block, and he needs a relationship to make himself look good for his company. So they kind of strike up a deal where he's gonna take her around to different places in New York to help her get over her writer's block and help inspire her, and meanwhile they'll have photo ops showing that they're dating. I'm excited. Also, it has a really cute map of New York on the inside cover, so I'm really, really excited to see all the different places that they visit in this story. The next story I'm gonna be reading is The Love Haters by Katherine Center. Obviously, the cover just screams summer, first of all. Let's just get that out of the way. This was actually gonna be my first book by Katherine Center. I've heard amazing things about her books. I've always been intrigued by her books and just have never picked one up, but this is the first one that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give that a shot because that looks really, really cool and cute. This story follows a girl named Katie who has been spurned by love, and she ends up taking a gig where she will be profiling a Coast Guard rescue swimmer in Key West. Except there's one catch. She does not know how to swim. The next book that I will be reading, I actually came across this by accident. I found it on a shelf very randomly and I immediately knew I needed to buy it, and that is The Book Swap by Tessa Bickers. I know that this is not a new release, but yet I've never seen this before, and I don't know why it's never been on my radar. This story follows Erin, who is grieving from a recent loss, and she accidentally donates her all-time favorite book, one that's been heavily annotated. It has a little memento in it, and she's all freaked out trying to find this book that she donated to the library. When she gets there a week later, the book shows back up, except this time there are fresh notes in the margins. So this starts kind of a pen pal relationship. If you've been following me at all, you know I eat that up. So I'm very, very excited to read this book. It's going to be just them swapping the book back and forth and writing to each other, and I cannot wait. The next book I'm going to be reading is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This came out, I think, last summer, and I've heard amazing, amazing things about it. I truly think that Christina Lauren, so it's two authors, I truly think that they have really gotten in their groove with their writing. I mean, all their books have been great so far that I've read. I've read a lot by this pair, but I'm really, really excited about this one in particular. This one follows a buttoned up heir to a grocery store chain and a very free-spirited artist, and they kind of have to fake a marriage or an engagement or something along those lines in order for him to earn his inheritance. I know that it involves a lot of family drama, a lot of elite, uptight, rich people, and then you have our main character who is just this free-spirited, funky artist who just like says what she's thinking. I've heard amazing things about the main character, and I cannot wait to add this book to my Christina Lauren shelf. The next book that I'm going to be reading is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I've heard outstanding things about this book. I've heard that if you are a Frederick Bachman fan, then you're going to really enjoy this story and the way it's written. It follows a widow who is working the night shift at her local aquarium. While she's there, she ends up befriending the octopus in this aquarium. I know it's told from both of their point of views, so you're going to get the octopus, which is really interesting and strange. While she's there, she is still trying to find answers to her son's disappearance 30 years ago. He disappeared on a boat, and the octopus takes it upon himself to try to find answers for her. It's got this like mystery element while also just sounds very endearing, and I'm really excited to cry to this book. And the next book, which is very fitting after that one, is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I just finished Anxious People this past month, so I'm really, really excited to get into his newest release. All I really know about this book is it discusses this painting of these three friends. I know it's told in two different timelines, like the past with the friends and then the present timeline, and it shows how this painting has impacted various people. Knowing his writing, I know it's going to be beautiful. I've heard outstanding reviews about this book. Everyone I've talked to about it has loved it and has cried and laughed and felt all the emotions. And the next book I will be reading is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I know literally nothing about this book except that it blew up on Book Talk. So I know it's a romantasy book. It says up here are the monsters we make. I think it follows like a princess who ends up in an arranged marriage, but he was supposed to pick her sister, but ends up picking her, something like that. And I think they go on some sort of journey, and like there's these monsters and creatures that they have to encounter. And that's kind of all I want to know going into this book. It kind of blew up same time as Silver Elite, and that one was very good. I really enjoyed that book as well. So I'm excited to give this one a shot. Also, my coworker really wants to read it with me, so I'm excited to do a little buddy read on this one. And then I have a couple series that I'm trying to continue or finish. The first one I want to read is Fate of the Sun King by Nisha J. Tooley. This is the third book in the Trial of the Sun Queen. That was actually in my summer recommendations video. I really enjoyed those first two books and I'm excited to continue it. I have this one and I also have the fourth one, which I believe finishes the series. I'm hoping to at least read this one, if not finish the series this summer. It's a fantasy world where our main character, she starts off in this prison and ends up getting rescued and taken to this other neighboring kingdom where she basically gets entered into these trials to see who can win the king's heart. There's like 10 different women who are all fighting for the chance to be the queen, and if she wins, she earns her freedom. If she doesn't, she goes back to prison. So it's kind of like a mixture of the selection along with kind of like Throne of Glass. Not as high stakes as Throne of Glass, but similar vibe. And the next book I'm going to be reading is A Monsoon Rising, which is the second book after Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. I really loved Hurricane Wars. I read it last summer and I absolutely devoured it. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. It was so good. It is set in this like storm ravaged world where there's these big warships, and that's why it's called Hurricane Wars, because these warships basically create weather and can create hurricanes and everything. And it's like two different sides. There's like one kingdom trying to take over everything, and then there's like a rebellion that's trying to fight back. Our main girl, she has this power of light, and then our main guy has this power of darkness. So they're kind of opposites of the same coin. The yearning in this book, the tension is done so well, and I can't wait to read the second one, especially knowing how the first book ended. And the last two books I'm going to be reading are actually some thriller horror books, which is crazy that I'm saying that for summer. The first one is Breathe In, Bleed Out by Brian McCauley. I want to read this mainly because it's giving slasher summer camp vibes. This story is following Hannah, who is kind of running from her past a little bit. Her fiance died on a wilderness trip that they went on, and no one knows how except for her. Her and a group of friends end up going to this spiritual retreat to relax in Joshua Tree, and while they're there, a killer is there and starts picking them off one by one. I think that summer is the perfect time to read this book. I'm personally really excited to read it. And the last book that I will be reading this summer is Murderland. What a way to end this video, by Carlin Greenwald. It's following our main character Billy, who works at this theme park in the summer, and while she's there, one of her coworkers mysteriously dies on her ride that she's operating. At first they think it's a heart attack, but they quickly learn that it was a broken neck, and there is a killer in the amusement park. It just sounds very fun. It sounds very fast-paced. It sounds like a fun and wild ride. I cannot wait to just like sprinkle this in amongst all my romance books this summer. Okay, this is a way thicker stack than last season. This is way more ambitious than I've been in past seasons. It's been a while since I've had a nice large TBR. And that is going to be it for my summer TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gave you some new book ideas to read this summer. I am so excited. I feel like it's going to be an awesome summer with some really great reads, and I can't wait to take you guys along with me. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.